like Marty and John. So, as Stell said, John and Marty are our presenters this morning. John, the journalist and writer, and Marty, the educator and administrator. Okay. And my cousin are in retirement. They've grown to love Cornwall, England, and this is their story.
Thank you, Phyllis. I hope that we will, that you will be. I hope you'll be. I hope you'll be able to hear us. We went to a Goshen College event at Mary Lee Wednesday, and after we got home, heard that someone had tested positive for COVID, but we thought we're okay because we have not had COVID yet. And then yesterday, I got COVID. So we will do the best we can from where we are. Since our retirement in 2008, and I have hopped across the pond to County Cornwall in southwest England 13 times. Our 3-month-long stays have been in Carbis Bay, next door to St. Ives, on the North Atlantic. We've explored the county on foot, by bus, by train, with a walking group, and days out with friends. We've stayed in a variety of rental flats.
We are car-free, where petrol costs a bit more than $7 per gallon.
Car-free and almost carefree. We're footloose and trail and friend rich. Cornwall's footpaths, history, prehistory, beauty, sea air, lodestone for the creative arts, along with off-season affordability, drew us there 16 years. Since then, we've made friends, church, community, and a weekly walking group, the West Cornwall Footpaths Preservation Society. These friends avidly encourage our return. One year, as we were preparing to leave Cornwall, a friend said, "We are always sad to see you go, but then in a little while you appear at church again, and it's as if you never left." And we feel the same way. We've also had the joy of introducing Cornwall to friends and family from the U.S. and Canada.
Imagine walking mile after mile on the Southwest Coast Path, or through fields, farms, villages, along streams, through wooded areas, on ancient paths used by miners, peddlers, religious folk, and by smugglers, robbers, and scalawags.
In our younger years, we used to average 600 miles during our 3-month stay. This year was a bit more than 400. We're out every day, carrying home groceries in our backpacks, walking to the library in St. Ives, and taking paths farther afield. We attend a Church of England congregation, St. Anta and All Saints, in Carbis Bay, or its benefice partner, St. Uni, in Lelanch. One of our favorite longer distance walks is the 12-mile St. Michael's Way to St. Michael's Mount. It's part of the English connection to the Pilgrim route to Santiago.
As the Cornish say, we're home from home, doing normal things in a delightful setting of paths, pubs, galleries, churches, even so at Truro Cathedral. What we don't do is surf, as many do, or take a regular dip in the ocean, as quite a few folks do. On our walks, we come across people we've met before, such as two women at the Tesco supermarket who saw Marty's black eye and wondered what in the world had happened. Marty explained that it had come from a fall over a paver sticking up in a sidewalk in Penzance, and that she had received fine care in the ER at West Cornwall Hospital. They said they remember talking with us at Una Kitchen the previous year. We hardly remember then, but note that casual exchange is a sign that it's a small world and a caring world.
This year, Cornwall, like the rest of the UK, received an overabundance of rain. It was devastating for farmers, gardeners, builders, road workers, and walkers, and people's spirits. Nevertheless, when it looked like the day would be largely dry, one of our friends, Marilyn, would contact us on WhatsApp and say, if we had no plans, she and Steve would pick us up at 10:30 for a day out. Usually we went to a National Trust garden where our Royal Oak Foundation membership gives us free admission.
Getting out is a natural part of the arrival of spring. With its subtropical climate, Cornwall's spring-like weather means daffodil fields are blooming in January and cauliflower is harvested in February.
History shows many instances of this time of year being a pull to go on pilgrimage.
One example is Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. In this account, a motley group of people are anxious to go on a pilgrimage to Canterbury in County Sussex, to the place where St. Thomas of Becket was murdered in Canterbury Cathedral in 1170, and where he is buried.
Pilgrimages to shrines in the Middle Ages were mass activities, partly because they were as likely to be vacations as religious observances, notes one source. For Chaucer's characters, pilgrimage was an opportunity for a vacation, even an aimless adventure, as well as a spiritual pursuit. And they were better protected from robbers because they traveled in a group.
We cross the pond for a pilgrimage-like adventure and spiritual checkup on paths to places and with people, both present and past.
County Cornwall, or the Duchy, as it's also called, is surrounded 80% by the Atlantic Ocean and the English Channel. Its capital, Truro, has a population of 23,000, 11,000 fewer than Goshen's 34,000. In land area, Cornwall is the size of 3 Indiana counties, Elkhart, St. Joseph, and Kosciuszko. Its population of 566,000 is about 100,000 more than the combined population of Elkhart, St. Joseph, and Kosciuszko. Its main industry used to be tin and copper mining. Today, tourism and agriculture, including potatoes and cauliflower and daffodils, along with some commercial fishing, make up the economy.
We've walked old pilgrimage routes and also on part of a new 125-mile-long path. Today, churches in Cornwall offer walking pilgrims on these routes a place to put down their sleeping bags and, where available, use of a kitchen or shower. Some churches are designated as quiet places, a place where pilgrims may sit, meditate, pray, reflect, remember, forget, breathe in the past and present on their journey.
This year, our pilgrim-like pull included 3 nights in Sidmouth in County Devon. Friends had told us about their stays in this charming town on the Jurassic Coast on the English Channel.
The 96-mile-long coast is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. According to Wikipedia, the site spans 185 million years of geological history. An almost continuous coastal erosion having exposed an almost continuous sequence of rock formation covering the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods.
We were fortunate to be in Sidmouth on a Wednesday when a geologist from the local museum leads a group to learn about the Jurassic Coast.
The fusing of holiday and spiritual pursuit included a reunion with a friend. A few years ago, our former landlords in Carbis Bay, Sue and Chris, moved to this area near Sidmouth and Exeter. We've stayed in touch via an exchange of Christmas letters. But in 2023, we did not hear from them.
We later learned that Chris had been ill for much of last year, with the cause only sorted in November. It was a brain tumor. The tumor was removed in December, but subsequently, Chris was in and out of hospital with seizures.
In a March call, Sue told us about their ordeal. Call back, she said, when our plans were in place. She did want to see us.
When we called in April, Sue said Chris had died in hospice care the previous day. She still wanted to see us and arranged to pick us up at our B&B. We went to a neighboring village where we visited an old, still functioning grist mill and shops, and then walked to another town where we had lunch in a beachside cafe that Chris had loved.
Sue had worked at various editorial capacities at Scripture Union in London. Chris was trained by the BBC as a sound and recording engineer, a business he continued in retirement. They have 2 daughters. We had been on walks with Sue and attended music events that Chris organized. They were more than mere landlords. We sat at their table and we hosted them for meals out. Chris and Sue, as do Marilyn and Steve, represent pilgrims with whom we have walked on various stages of temporal and spiritual journeys.
Psalm 84, verses 2 through 5, tells of a pilgrim going to worship in the temple at Jerusalem. My soul longs, indeed it faints, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh sing for joy to the living God. Even the sparrow finds a home, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young at your altars, O Lord of hosts, my King and my God. Happy are those who live in your house, ever singing your praise. Happy are those whose strength is in you, in whose heart are the highways to Zion.
Happy are those whose strength is in you, in whose heart are the highways to Zion. This suggests a journey marked by joyous anticipation, the ascent to Jerusalem. The pilgrim assured of protection, security, satisfaction, and ready reception. A journey of transformation where one meets God.
I imagine that phrase animating those who brought Christianity to Cornwall, especially the Celts. Its assurance today surely surrounds Sue, her family, and friends as they continue meeting God during Chris's passing.
Echoes of the 6th century Celtic Christians is evident today in holy wells, oratory, or chapel sites, church plan paths, burial places, and settlement remains. Even though Celtic prehistory remains a fragmented story and has opposing views, our purpose today is to concentrate on the spiritual qualities ascribed to Celtic groups and apply those to Christian spirituality today.
Cornwall is one of the Celtic nations that include Wales, Ireland, Brittany, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. Each of these nations had and has a distinctive language and culture. Between 450 to 600 after the Common Era, a huge number of people brought the gospel to Cornwall from Ireland, Wales, and Brittany. St. Michael's Mount became a place of Christian pilgrimage then, and is that today.
Central to the old Celtic way of life was welcoming the stranger, the seeker, the passerby. They were joined together in praising God in all manner of ways, giving thanks for the companionship of each other, of birds, wild animals, sharing God's world as they went from place to place.
The Cornish language survived until the 19th century, and for some time has been making a revival, especially in music, poetry, and official road signs.
Celtic Christians praised that people in their grieving, forgiveness for wrongdoing, and security in the community that dwells in life beyond death.
Celtic pilgrims sought time with God in the thin space between earth and heaven.
Something of the enduring Celtic spiritual past is expressed in a prayer printed in the welcome flyer at St. Sonora's Church in the hamlet of Zunner. The church's founding patron saint was St. Sonora. She arrived in Zunner in the 6th century. The current church building dates from 1150.
We've visited the church numerous times, once for a service, and other times to just sit in silence after walking the 6-mile-long field path from St. Ives, actually 8 miles from Carbis Bay, with a stop at the Tinner's Arms for lunch. The pub and lodgings were erected for the church builders. The prayer is titled, A Prayer for Ourselves. In the depths of silence, no words are needed. In the depth of silence, I am called to listen. Listen to the beating of your heart. Listen to the blowing of the wind, the movement of the Spirit. Be silent, said the Lord, and know that I am God.
I've written a few antiphons, properly liturgical chants sung responsively by 2 choirs. Antiphons illustrate a way of listening for the harmony of body and spirit. Here's one from Cornwall. O path, blazed St. Michael's Way path, running here past Trencrom Hill, invitation to a pilgrimage, where plops of kelp mark the way I go, walking with patience, appreciation, care, lest I rush beyond my soul.
How do we summarize how we have been blessed in body and soul in Cornwall?
Let's meet some of the people with whom we have been privileged to holiday and share spiritual journeys, where we've gained even a taste together of the psalmist's soul longing.
We met Anne and her late husband Terry at St. Anta and All Saints. This dear couple exuded everything Cornish, and we would say Celtic spirituality, hospitality, humor, self-deprecation, forthrightness, chosen dedication to church and community, service with love, simple pleasures, beauty in garden and home, reliance on God's abiding presence in the face of heavy loss. Anne and Terry came to terms with loss in the light of the Holy Trinity's mysterious ways, in abiding with us in whatever circumstances we face. They lost both their children, their daughter Carolyn, in her mid-30s, who was a little person with limiting medical conditions, but joyous engagement in church. Go church, Carolyn would insist. Their son Andrew was a university student and an avid rock climber. He had a seizure during a holiday at home. The doctor said he should check with the university doctor if the seizures continued. But while he was alone in his dorm room at school on a weekend, he had another seizure and died. Anne and Terry independently received what they termed the presence of God, telling them not to be bitter.
We visited Terry and Ann in 2021, just a few weeks before Terry died of cancer. As we got up to leave, he asked me to pray. We surrounded him, holding hands, prayed, and hugged him in parting.
Terry and Anne, even in our early years in Cornwall, embraced our various needs. Especially was this true in caring for me when John, on a Friday night, was admitted to Royal Cornwall Hospital in Truro with a severe infection that resulted from surgery a week earlier. They invited me for dinners and, along with others, drove me to the hospital to visit John during his 3-night stay.
Roger and Doreen represent the spirituality of being at peace with simplicity, giving rein to creative engagement with church and community. Roger itches to ring bells in as many churches as his health allows. He loves old hymns. We gave him a copy of Hymnal, a worship book. All through tea, he paged through it, admonished now and then by Doreen. His love for Doreen, he said, is only exceeded by his love for Jesus.
Doreen embodies the freedom for women and men to pursue equal roles. She puts all that is dear to her in the hands, heart, and doing of God. We fell in stride with her once as she was walking home from volunteering at the Save the Children charity shop. We said how nice it would be if she and Roger would come to visit us in the U.S. She just smiled and said, "I'm sorry, we won't be able to do that. Roger and I are on the lower rung of the economic ladder. We have all of our needs met, just not all of our wants."
Roger and Doreen are the reasons we ended up at St. Anton. On our first visit in 2008, they were among the people who welcomed us and straight away asked, "Would you like to learn how to ring the bells?" Well, yeah, oh, sure. Come by Thursday at 4:30 and we'll have a go at it. Roger and Doreen practice a Celtic-style evangelism. Come and see.
Represents the spirituality of valuing beauty, love of flowers, care for creation, joyfully rendering service to anyone, facing her own limitations and the illness of her daughter with a faith and equanimity that defies explanation. A bright spot of her week is Wednesday, when she and her longtime friend, Jack, who also lost his partner, comes from Penzance for a visit.
Jack represents humility, contentment, and quiet. He can no longer drive, has difficulty walking, is subject to the care of his daughter, who lives next door. At age 11, Jack was old to evacuate from 300-mile distant London to a farm near Penzance. This city lad grew up on the farm, married, and became the leaseholder. He never went back to London. In retirement, he was an avid walker and a friend of Lamont, generous in retelling his story as we asked him numerous times. Some years ago, he took us on a walking excursion to his former farm. Jack is a lesson in humility and accepting the grace, companionship, and joy of heading towards Zion.
Noel and Lynn are dear friends who moved to Cornwall from upcountry for Noel to be an engineer at Geber Mine. Noel led the effort to modernize the mining operation, which went swimmingly until economic conditions and foreign competition led to the mine's closure. Lynn worked as a teacher. Their pilgrimage encompasses family and church, one grandchild, and special tasks that arise in church programs. For us, their gifts of hospitality and friendship have been priceless. In one of our earlier stays in Carbis Bay, John developed an infected cyst on his back, and we were told by the local surgery, which is the doctor's office, that he would have to go to Trellis, Cornwall's main hospital, located in Truro, for an operation. Furthermore, we needed to be there by 8 o'clock the next morning. We rely on bus and train connections when distances are too far to walk. It is 23 miles to Truro, and we were not sure if the bus stopped at the hospital. We knew for certain that the train did not. So we called Lynn to ask if she knew if the hospital was a stop on the bus route. She said that it was, but that on no account would we be taking the bus, which takes about an hour and a half because of its many stops. I took the bus to Truro once, she said, and by the time I got there, I'd lost the will to live. I will. And she did.
Bishop Phil. We met Bishop of Truro, Philip Stephen, several times, the last 2 years ago at St. Anta. He has since taken a new bishopric post. When I told Bishop Phil of our appreciation for the people, past and present, in the benefice and for the evensong services at Truro Cathedral, he said that we, too, had been a blessing for the people, church, and community. We had not expected him to know much about us. But in Cornwall, people know everything about everybody.
Monica will be 96 this year. In years past, we were welcomed for tea in her home. She now divides her time between the homes of her son, Goran, and her daughter, Rachel. She carries a graciousness in her warm greetings, heartfelt welcome, and curiosity about how we are doing.
Monica's son, Goran, is a retired vicar who once a month or so helps at St. Anta or St. Uni. His sermons are probing, engaging, pointed. His invitation to visit his home are open, and his cakes for tea are tasty.
Marion was our newest landlady. She seemed to be a bit brusque at first, but soon showed her true colors. She became, I'd say, a friend. She tended immediately to cottage matters like getting a new washing machine, water that was too hot, Wi-Fi that was too weak. Her late husband, a mining geologist, had built the stone cottage for her mother. Marion belongs to the active church bell ringers guild. We were introduced to her by fellow ringer Doreen.
With believers, seekers, and others, we are exhilarated and humbled to explore spiritual qualities that ground our hope in creation over chaos, oneness with one's surroundings, simplicity, equal roles for women and men, prayer, forgiveness, song, praise, rest, sabbatical, silence, bell ringing, eternity.
We share with all these the journey nourished with food for body and soul, tears and laughter, griefs and hope, gratitudes and joys on the highways to Zion.
They are among the pilgrims, present and past, with pull to keep us crossing the pond.
They have any questions?
No.
You say that.
Are there any questions or responses?
Well, first of all, thanks, John and Marty. That was fun. Questions or comments? I might be the only one in this group who's had the fun and the privilege of being in Cornwall with John and Marty a couple of years ago.
Fine visit.
Time to come.
Right? Yes.
How does your healthcare system work for you there? Do you have to sign up for the NHS or do you have to sign up for the local clinic? What's the process?
We, for many years of our travel, have had travel insurance that covers medical, and some of it would cover evacuation if needed. But it's been on the cheaper side to simply have local care, and that has worked for us.
When I tripped over that brick on climbing a hill in Penzance and went to the A&E, which is their emergency room, we asked the doctor, well, how about payment? He said, oh, I don't know. If they want to charge you, they'll find you.
They haven't found us yet.
No bill yet.
And if it were to come, we would still have the insurance coverage that we had taken out with our airfare.
But when during after John's hospitalization, we got a bill for about $4,000,
Month.
which included this hospital stay. No separate charges, just the $4,000. And we sent it on to the insurance people, and about a month later, we got another letter saying, oh my, we overcharged you. We owe you £1,000. So healthcare is considerably less expensive.
Although the NHS is in straits, they have not been funded adequately. So operations that are not urgent, but should be happening, can take up to a year or longer on the wait list. Other questions?
This isn't a question, but I'm impressed with how people there take care of each other. And that is really what our class is going to be doing, hopefully. So this next week, the people that are, as John Hertzler likes to call them, honchos, the ones that are in charge of a group, will be getting the list for them. And then you should be hearing from them. And I think what happened today is really important. We found out about a hospitalization here and about Vic. And so the idea is that it's our responsibility to let our person who's in charge of our group know what we would like the class to know. They will make an initial announcement to you, but we need to take responsibility. And I anticipate we'll find out many more things about people in our class. John?
We walk on paths by ourselves, with others, and essentially we belong to each other on a common journey. It's wonderful to be part of Sojourners, to be part of College Church, to be part of a widespread church worldwide. Our cares, our prayers ascend everywhere.
How many more years do you think you'll be doing this?
Well, we probably will do a 14th year in next year, 2025. But we take it year by year. We know that we're coming closer to the end of this part of our pilgrimage, and we'd have to stay in touch with our friends there in other ways. Maybe some of them are still able to come this direction. So we'd love to host a few of them here in Goshen and also in Canada.
As I was growing up, I don't recall many references to beauty as a theological or Christian idea, but the pictures that you showed and your descriptions are certainly those of exquisite beauty. What are some of your reflections on the spirituality of beauty?
Well, the exhilaration that happens when you're on the Southwest Coast Path in the area of outstanding beauty, in the small fields, as we're walking through those, there's an exhilaration of spirit that not only can be out here, we're doing it and praising God, often silently or in smelling the gorse, in greeting people as we walk, come across, and as we have to go through some barnyards of pop and mess, but the beauty surrounds us, and what can one do but thank God for creation and our role in caring for it? Beauty is an incentive in our Christian walk to maintain and enjoy, to smell the roses, of course, and the gorse.
This is Ann Hirschberger. I would like to thank you for giving us some insight into the lives of the people you've learned to know and love. I think it gives us a good feel for the kind of community that you've been interacting with, and that was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. A few of the people that we've come to love are on a search. For them, or for church, is less a destination as it is a rock on the way. One of our friends will go to Trencrom Hill with his tea in the morning and listen to the birds in silence. But we've had very engaging conversations about what faith is and how it affects us. So that is just one example. With others, music has been central in their life. And there would have been others in the community. We could have mentioned some casual contacts where we've shared a very heartening exchange. So it is, as Marty said, a lodestone for not just the creative types, but a lodestone for us to be part of the life of the people present and past who have made Cornwall unique. And from Cornwall, they've also spread to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, to other parts of the U.S., to Peru, and other places as miners after the mines closed in Cornwall, even though currently there is some reactivation of mining for rare minerals happening close to where we stay.
Evan, Professor, I have a question regarding visual art. Are there galleries around, and what sort of art, if they carry current works, would you be saying? Would it be more in the form of would it be considered modern? Would it be considered folk art?
It has both. It modern at the Tate Gallery in St. Ives, and in Penzance. One of our favorite destinations is art at the Penlee House, art from the 18th and 19th century, who captured the life in its essence, and you saw a few of those in the slides. We never tire of going to Penlee House. It is just, and one of those pieces was the rain. It raineth every day.
Especially apt this year. The painting that you saw, you may remember or not, but it was on the Penzance waterfront, where you can walk on the promenade from one end of Penzance to the other, and it's easily recognizable. And we just love that painting. So we have a couple pictures of it, plus a magnet and this and that of the rain. It raineth every day.
Cornwall was a draw for people to paint, for painters, because of its air quality, kind of a pinkish. Like the light, it's not. I mean, you don't have to filter out smog or such. There's no industry that makes it a problem. So it's all these centuries, it has been and continues to be a draw for artists, both painting and ceramics as a pottery. Bernard Leach established the connection between East and West in pottery, and Barbara Hepworth, her sculpture garden is there. You saw one of her sculptures. We live just across the fence from the cemetery where Bernard Leach and Barbara Hepworth are buried, and we've walked past their tombs. They're very modest tombs, or headstones. I'd love to follow up, Adler, with some of the other pictures of painting that we've come across. We'll do that over coffee.
It's John Roder. I was just wondering if your friends, what kind of comments your friends make about the United States. Do they ever have anything? Yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Politics does come up in our conversations, but they shake their heads. And they shake their heads about politics in the UK because that election is coming up July 4. And the Tories or the Conservatives have not done well in the last 14 years.
But I might say that they are terrified that Trump may be re-elected.
We are.
Yeah. We have had good occasions for an exchange like that, but we haven't dwelt on it. We acknowledge their fears and they ours, and concerns.
Well, thanks again, John and Marty. Get well.
Yeah.
Marty. And prayers for Vic and Steve also as the days ahead.
Good. Thank you all.
Yes, my thank you also, Del Good here. So this is a time when we're going to take a break. July class will not meet. August, the first Sunday is one of the joint worship services, and so the class will resume on the second Sunday in August. That's when we'll begin. The church has suggested that August should be an Anabaptist month and specifically encouraged Sunday school classes to focus on some aspect of peace expression, peace experience. A number of you are going to be tapped on the shoulder to be willing to share stories of alternative service. We also will hear from a younger person talking about the movement that has gotten active in the last year or two called Menno Action. So it's an attempt to both honor and remember our memory of peace activities and how we expressed it and how we were impacted and maybe changed by that. So stay tuned. We're still working on the details of how those programs will be. One last thing. This morning, we probably started, about 3 minutes before 11. We've been announcing 10:45 in response to, again, the church's request that we've been starting at about closer to 11. As of August, the official starting time is going to be 11. Now, that doesn't mean then that everybody comes in 12 minutes after 11, but it will officially allow for what we're doing anyway, which is have time to get coffee, chat a bit with friends, but we'll try to start very promptly at 11, beginning in August. And I have personal Chaplain Phil himself said, why don't you just do it? Well, thank you all. We'll see you in either of these the month of July. And best to all of you. Thanks for being part of the class.